Australia's business channel. This is Media Week.
Hello and welcome to Media Week. Plenty coming up in the next half hour, including a look at the all-important ratings this week and, of course, a check-in on media stocks. But first, iSentia is Australia's largest media monitoring company with about 90% share of the market. Last week, you might recall, it made an impressive share market debut, gaining nearly 20%, and it still trades well above its initial public offering price of $2.04. The growth potential, particularly given the forecast for social media analytics, has helped to attract investors. Some analysts, though, have warned of its reliance on major suppliers, as well as the possibility of rising competition. To tell us all about it, we're joined by John Croll. He's the CEO of iSentia, and of course we're joined as always by our co-host in Media Week, James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week. John Croll, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks, Brooke.
You had a great listing. In fact, it was almost perfect, you'd have to say, I would imagine. I'm sure you had a great day. I did see the word overvalued used immediately after that debut, though.
Well, it was a great day, and the stock has traded really well this week as well. But I think value is the long-term position for us. I mean, our growth is going to happen out through FY15 and 16 because of the products that we're building around social media and insights, but also the growth that we have in Asia. So, you know, I think it will settle. The stock, it's about 14% up now, and I think people are finding good value there, but that's for the market to do. We'll concentrate on running the business now.
John, we last had you on the show, I think, just after the name change. We talked a little bit about your private equity owners there, Quadrant. We saw Nine Entertainment list successfully, and they're presumably giving their private equity people an exit strategy. Does that do the same for Quadrant?
Yeah, look, I think Quadrant's always been very clear with us that they would be with us for about 3 or 5 years. So it's 4 years that Quadrant have been with us, and they're still our major shareholder. They're holding 25% of the business. But when we went to Quadrant, we said we were going to grow out Asia and we're going to grow our social media capability. So Quadrant can see that this is the right time for them to give us that flexibility about a public company environment to see where we move in Asia from this point on. So it was just good timing for Quadrant, really around that mandate of around 3 to 5 years.
Tell us about the picture in Asia and how that's developing. You've got Jeff Raby on your board, who's a well-known advocate of better ties with Asia and, of course, an expert in the field, so I'm sure that helps. But just paint the picture for us of how that market's changing. You said basically this is the key to the future for your company. It's
one of the keys. It's obviously an important key for us, and it is changing really quickly. I think social media and online news has changed both the complexity of what brands and companies are dealing with, because of the time and the number of different voices that they're getting into that discussion. So what we've seen in Asia in the past is people have been doing this themselves or asking PR agencies to do the monitoring and the analytics. Now they're looking for a specialist agency like iSentia to do that work. So it's a rapid turnaround of that marketplace for us, and we do it in 12 different languages in Asia, and we're not talking about just doing English. We're in Thailand and doing Thai searches. We're in the Philippines, and we're working mainly for local companies, but also global brands in Asia as well.
These might be companies in Indonesia who want you to monitor, how their company's being received across media.
Yep. And
you're obviously looking to acquire, therefore, more and more of these clients. How difficult or easy is that? And there must be competitors in the region doing what you're doing.
There's smaller competitors. So there's 5 different segments of the market around social media and media monitoring, databases and insights and such. We're across all those, where most of our competitors in Asia just do one country and do one of those components. So when we go and show our offering to clients, it's a very different offering, that's something that they haven't seen before. And we've got this Media Portal product. It's our key SaaS platform. So about 40,000 people log into unique visitors to Media Portal every month in Australia and New Zealand. We'll be launching Media Portal in Asia later this year, which will change the whole service that people have seen. And that's where we see that real take-off in client acquisition for us.
Just on what Brooke was saying there about your opponent, your opposition, and you said there's some smaller players. Do you have funds for maybe acquisitions which might fast-track there if some of them want to raise the white flag when they see you coming? And what about global? Do you have expertise that you could apply into, Europe, the Americas?
From a local viewpoint, there's no doubt buying a local competitor, there's a lot of duplicated costs in these businesses. We just acquired AAP's monitoring clients in Australia, and that was a very valuable or accretive deal for us. There are more deals that we can do of these smaller players in Asia. So definitely we've been given the flexibility with the public company environment to do that. On a global scale, it's interesting. When I talk to the heads of corporate comms or marketing in Shanghai or Singapore or Hong Kong, they're really talking about give me a depth in this region, John, because that's where I manage this area. We can go global in a period of time if that's what our clients require. And we know Media Portal won the Corte Award, which is the Software and Information Industry Awards for the best media platform in the world. So we know our platforms are good, but at the moment we're very focused on Asia Pac, and that's where we'll stay for the moment.
Obviously that Asia picture is big and it looks like it can only get bigger. What about Australia though? How much of your revenues currently are from here in Australia?
You said in the intro, Brooke, that we've got about 90% of the market share down here, but the interesting piece is around our value-added services, so around that social media, around the insights, around the media database. They're still growing at 25% down in this marketplace. So what we're using is that relationship that we already have with the client base here and selling these new products to them. And some of the products I'm talking about is people don't read the whole of the newspaper or the press clips anymore. What they actually do get from us is a page-and-a-half summary on any device that arrives at 6 o'clock in the morning, and so all the senior executives or a minister will be totally informed at that hour in the morning.
Monitoring social media, I mean, the volume of data would have to be, most of that surely is automated, but how do you sift through some of that and decide what a client needs to see and the other stuff that's either spam or rubbish, mate?
Just rubbish.
Yeah.
Absolute rubbish.
Does that need manual sort of input?
Yeah.
No, look, it's automated, and there was a business that Nick Holmes of Corte started called Buzz Numbers, and it had a fantastic engine, all this architecture that could handle massive amount of content in social media. So we acquired that a couple of years ago because we really wanted to build that capability. And what Buzz gave us is that tweet can arrive as an alert to a client seconds after someone has put that out into the ether. So for us, it's a massive amount of content, but what we try to do is see if it's relevant and then see if it's influential. So there's no need, if someone's only got a few followers, it's not that important. But if they're influential and may change the agenda or the debate, that's when we need to send it to our clients quickly so they can see what's happening.
And again, is that decision made by computers with algorithms or?
Predominantly algorithms, yeah. But we always bring in humans where it can add value. That's where it becomes different from just an ordinary search engine. So if we're looking for that influence or that favourability around a tweet, and if that's important to a client, we will use a human at that last piece, but we use the technology to do the heavy lifting.
You obviously need to build that part of your business to offset what's happening in the print side of things, the traditional. In the prospectus, it talked about the maturity of print media as a potential financial risk. How concerned are you about the volume of content declines we're seeing in cuts to journalist numbers, for example?
Yeah, so...
and the pace currently, I guess that's the question, because you need to offset that with the social media side of things.
Yeah, it's true. So one thing I don't want to get away from, though, is that sort of paid journalists and their research to a story or their links to be able to get good information still sets the agenda in many different stories. So we don't downplay that importance of that content, whatever platform it's on, in a newspaper or online content. Same with 24-hour news channels and radio in Australia especially. So that content's really important to us, but we have so much content coming in from all parts of the world from online content that's offsetting any decline in newspaper content that we're getting. So we've mitigated that by moving our clients into online, and we've also moved into a subscription model with our clients, which takes away that risk of the declining newspaper content.
And on that newspaper content, do you have copyright agreements? I mean, that let you access that stuff? Do publishers get something back? Because you wonder sometimes, do some of these news organisations just read the clips and not the source content on it?
Yeah, so we do. We've had agreements with the publishers since 2001 and with broadcasters as well. So. And it's really important for us to actually share that content with the publishers and the broadcasters. And we're always looking for new ways that we can use that content and make it valuable for our clients, as well as the publishers and broadcasters.
And one other question on paywalls, because I understand you don't get behind those paywalls. So, I mean, is the negotiations around that very difficult, or is it just still to an early stage? That's going to be a bigger and bigger part of all this.
I think it's been difficult just in that publishers want to make sure that their model's correct around their subscription models and how they're getting end revenue, so they don't want us actually disrupting that at the moment, but we're in good discussions with them at the moment.
Ongoing. Thank you very much. Great to have you on the show, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
John Croll, their Chief Executive Officer of iSentia. Still coming up on Media Week, renewed calls for an overhaul of media ownership laws.